Nominations for both the 93rd Academy Awards and the 41st Golden Raspberry Awards are announced as Micahel B Jordon is slated to make his directorial debut and Matthew McConaughey mulls a run for public office. I'm Joe Acierno.
And I'm Darius Delsoin. This is Cinema Unchained.
Alrighty, welcome to Cinema Unchained. We got a fabulous show for you all today. We're going to be giving our thoughts on the nominations for both the Oscars and the Razzies, as well as Micahel B Jordon stepping behind the camera and the idea of Governor Matthew McConaughey. Before we get into the Oscar nominations, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, the Podcast Index, or YouTube. Follow our social media pages in the description below. Now, before we get into Matthew McConaughey's potential run for office, nominations for the 93rd Academy Awards were announced this past Monday. Time frames for the films eligible this year's show, was altered because of the COVID-19 pandemic from just films released in 2020 to films released from January 1st, 2020 to February 8th of 2021. Now, Mank, the newest David Fincher Netflix film, leads the way with 10 nominations. Now, personally, overall, I thought this was a decent set of nominees with a few BS calls here and there. Darius, what did you think of all this?
Yeah, honestly, looking at the nominations list, there's definitely some movies I was hoping that would get on it. So I am happy about that. But overall, it was just like, it was a mixture of ups and downs for me. You know, like the Oscars were, I don't know, like it's just some of the movies I expected to be on that list. And there were others that were just like, okay, this is occurring too much to the point where it's like, does it really need that nomination per se? Does it really need this? And so, I mean, overall, I have a mixed bag. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, really. But some of the key moments, especially that I found interesting, was some of the animated features, and I'm happy Soul is up there. So, and
I'm happy Soul was on there. You're gonna mention Over the Moon, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that movie's great. Okay.
Yeah. You're going to mention that one. And I'm happy Onward was on there, too. I'm happy that one didn't get snubbed. When you say that there were movies that you feel like got nominated a little too much, what were you saying just now? So, which movies in particular?
It's like, as much as I loved One Night in Miami, there were definitely some points of some of the listings that they put it on quite a few times. I'm like, yeah, I love the movie, but I think for that area, you could take it out or whatever. Because it's really hard because there weren't a lot of movies, but yet some of the movies that did get nominated, honestly, I haven't seen or heard of them. So it's not like, oh, I can say for sure this is a really solid list or anything like that. Minari is up there. Steven Yeun is up there. I love Steven Yeun as an actor. So I still need to see Minari, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. But just overall, I mean, it's a good list. I'm not saying it's a bad list. It's just...
Yeah.
I don't know. I expected more, per se. That's really what it was.
Honestly, there were a few surprises, and in both a good way and a bad way. But honestly, as far as One Night in Miami... I didn't really feel like they got nominated enough because, I think all it got was adapted screenplay, supporting actor for Leslie Odom Jr., who played Sam Cooke in the film, and I think original song. That's it. It wasn't nominated for Best Picture, which is A Line of Bull. It wasn't nominated for directing, cinematography, editing, all of which I think it very much deserved. So, honestly, I don't know exactly what they were thinking on that. I thought that, for sure, would have been a frontrunner for Best Picture, but what do I know? If there's one movie that I feel like got a bit too much love.
I do feel that it should have gotten Best Director.
For sure. Absolutely. Regina King, honestly, that's a movie where you could tell that she was in full command of her craft. I said that when we reviewed the film. Like I said, she had full command of that film and the filmmaking process for that project. So honestly, her not getting nominated was honestly probably the worst call of the nominations today. But if there was one movie I had to say that I feel like got a bit too much love, even though it only got like 2 nominations, was probably Borat 2. Got a nomination for Best Supporting Actress for Maria Bakalova. You can say whatever whatever you want about that. Adapted screenplay, though, too. I was a little shocked to see it in that one.
Same. Like, honestly, when it came to either adapted screenplay, for me, if I had to choose from the ones I did see, Nomadland and two The White Tiger and One Night in Miami.
Yes,
those were, I think,
great solid
amazing.
screenplays. Honestly, very solid screenplays.
Yeah, The Father I haven't seen yet, but
have not either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, honestly, The White Tiger, I was surprised to see that one on there too. And again, I don't think it was a bad thing. I'm just like, oh wow, I didn't think that they would really notice it because I hadn't really heard so much awards buzz around the film. But I was pleasantly surprised. As far as the list of Best Picture nominees, I think I've seen a decent chunk of these. The nominees are Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, The Father, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. So all in all, I think I've seen like about five or six of those. Overall, I think it's a pretty solid list.
Yeah, and even visual effects, that is also another area that I was like, really, that movie? And really, that movie too? It's understandable as to why they're up there. And by the movie, I mean Mulan is on there, which I found pretty shocking, to be honest.
I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised at all that they would. I feel like that's probably one of those films that they probably like wanted to force in there.
Yeah, and even score-wise, one of the things I was expecting for, at least for the score, a movie to be put up there is Tenet, and I didn't see that for score.
Honestly, that was another big bullshit call, too. That was like the best score of last year. I have no idea how that didn't make the nominations list. I mean, that just shows, again, just how tone-deaf the Academy can be when it comes to selecting musical scores. I mean, Soul was on there, good thing, but honestly, really, Tenet? Hans Zimmer is a legend, and this is... Oh, wait, no, sorry, no, this isn't Hans Zimmer. This is Ludwig Göransson. This is a guy who won recently for Black Panther. I'm surprised he's not nominated again.
Yeah, I thought the score for Tenet was absolutely amazing, and even The Five Bloods, I personally was not a fan of that score. I was just like, this is... Because to me, The Five Bloods I thought was a pretty solid movie, but just score-wise, I didn't see it to be up there, but it is, like I said, it is what it is, and just have to see how it plays out. I hope Soul beats all of them.
Yeah, honestly, out of the ones that are there, honestly, Soul makes the most sense to win, and honestly, I think it has a good shot at doing, though. I think it has a good shot at winning animated feature as well. Like, it's clearly the front runner in those two categories.
Absolutely. So, I mean, personally, this list is a decent list at best. I think I definitely want to watch some of the movies that are on here that I already planned on watching, but I haven't yet, such as Minari, because I have a feeling I'm going to absolutely love that movie for some reason, as well as Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Having Chadwick Boseman still there for Best Actor for an Oscar, I think it's absolutely incredible. And it's going to be
he's going to win.
See.
He's going to win. There's I can confidently say that Chadwick Boseman is going to win. And he'll absolutely deserve to do so.
Exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see, an interesting night to see all this happen. And I'm actually kind of excited just to see how it all plays out and to see how much BS we're going to be like, god dang it, really?
Yeah, like, oh, really, this one won. But just a couple other nice little notes I want to touch on. Trials of Chicago 7 did well. I got a few nominations. I was happy to see, even though I wasn't crazy about Borat 2, I was happy to see Sacha Baron Cohen get nominated for Best Supporting Actor for The Trial of the Chicago 7, because he actually gave a terrific performance in that movie. Now, when it comes to Judas and the Black Messiah, of course, Daniel Kaluuya got nominated in Supporting Actor. So did Lakeith Stanfield, which I did not see coming. Honestly, that was a pleasant surprise, too.
I mean, he was great in that movie. He was great in the role that he was given in. So I could see why both of them are on there, to be honest. They were both absolutely incredible. So, and how I see it is like, if either one wins, that's a positive for Judas and the Black Messiah, just as a whole. So.
Absolutely. But I think out of the two, I think Daniel Kaluuya would probably be more likely to win.
Yeah, I agree too, because he yet again gave it his all. So.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious, out of all the Best Picture nominees, what do you think would be most likely to win?
Out of all the Best Pictures,
because One Night Miami is into the running, which, honestly, that might have been my pick to be the front runner, but that's obviously not a thing.
Yeah, that's honestly a tough decision, because I think a lot of the Best Pictures they have are really good picks. So like I said, I liked Nomadland a lot. I like Judas and the Black Messiah. I still need to see Minari. So just from those three movies, I have a feeling I'm already going to like them. If not, I love them. Promising Young Woman, I see that for sure because that was a really good movie. Even though I wasn't a personal fan of it, it was a solid movie overall. So
I
I
didn't see
mean,
Promising Young Woman.
what?
I never saw Promising Young Woman. Like that one and Minari are on my list.
Yeah, Promising Young Woman. I really, really like that film. Overall, it's like I said, it's a solid film. It's a solid list. Just that it's sort of a wait and see. Honestly, I would prefer One Night in Miami in here.
So
I thought that was just amazing. So I'm shocked that's not there.
I'm really shocked it's not on there.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, it's a wait and see for me. Really, it's not like I can predict which one is I would choose because, to be frank, when it comes to these nominations, as much as I would want to say Nomadland or Judas and the Black Messiah, a part of me feels like I can't without seeing Mank and The Father.
Well, Mank was really good. Mank was actually really, really good. I haven't seen The Father, so I don't know what to tell you as far as that one. I also have to say the set for Best Actor, Best Actress, and Supporting Actor nominees are, because I've seen the majority of the nominees in those particular categories. Those are some really solid lists right there. So I think all in all, they did a good job with that.
I agree too.
Yeah, so the ceremony is slated to take place on Sunday, April 25th, 2021. And I'm curious, what did you guys think of the Oscar nominations? Are there any snubs, surprises, or bullshit calls? Will you actually be watching the show? Do you actually care at this point? Leave your thoughts in that comment section there below. Now, before we get into Micahel B Jordon directing Creed 3, according to Politico, Academy Award-winning actor Matthew McConaughey is seriously considering a run for Texas governor in 2022. He has not decided whether or not he would be, quote, most useful in public office. Now, like I said, this is a Politico article. Politico. Not The Onion, not Babylon Bee, Politico. So, Darius, what do you think of this development here?
I like him as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, it's like we've seen actors go back and forth with politics and even people in the entertainment industry, but sometimes they're not in the right mindset.
No, you can't. No, really?
So,
wow.
Only some of them, not all of them, but like there's just it's weird not weird, but it's just, I'm curious as to what actually goes in their mind to go from I'm a good actor to now like I want to be in politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really curious how that transition works because at the end of the day, I still think that even though you are primarily an actor or a music artist or whatever, you are seen through a lens of just entertainment and not necessarily a candidate for politics or for someone to actually entrust you in their livelihoods, because that's really what this is all about as well. And I'm not saying Matthew McConaughey can't do it. I'm just curious as to why he's thinking about it.
Because we've
seen yeah.
I was going to say, like, that's something I was considering, too. And again, I love Matthew McConaughey as an actor. He's obviously incredibly talented. Even as a guy, too. Like, even though he seems like a bit flaky or eccentric, like, I wouldn't mind grabbing a beer with him. Like, any like, of the podcast shows that I've seen him go on, like, he obviously seems like a really cool and authentic guy. But at the same time, does that mean that he can actually govern? Now, is he the first entertainer to run for public office and be successful in that campaign? No. I mean, you have Jesse Ventura, who was a wrestler. He ran for and won for a governor of, I want to say, Minnesota. Arnold Schwarzenegger, governor of California. He won that recall election. And honestly, who could forget Ronald Reagan? You know, he was a big actor before he ran for governor of California, went on to become president of the United States. Then, of course, Alec Baldwin floated the idea of public office before punching a guy for a parking space. So that didn't last too long. But I think another thing that makes this very interesting, too, not only because has the incumbent Texas governor Greg Abbott announced that he will seek a third term in 2022, there is not much of a record on what side of the political aisle Matthew McConaughey is on. He's not very outspoken about them.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I do have to, where I do think he can succeed, is that he's not, or he hasn't shown to be one political group over the other or vice versa.
He's not much of a partisan.
Which is interesting. Yeah, which I kind of like, because it's like it's sort of a mentality where it's like, hey, to me, it's not about necessarily groups, but just about what is actually factually, hopefully factually better for this nation and etc. And his state and everything, because that's what it's going to come down to. No matter political views, in my opinion, or parties, it's going to come down to: are you there for the people?
Yeah.
And will the people be there for you? And I think McConaughey, because of his innate character and just how he seems to be a very down to earth and sometimes easy even to talk to type of person, that he can possibly be a really solid governor and politician that we probably haven't seen that much before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, like I said, you said he seems like he's as weird as he comes off at some point. Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, he comes off as eccentric, but not to the point where it's, like, off-putting, which is very unique. Because a lot of times when I see, like, eccentric or, like, awkward, he's not even awkward. Just, like, when I see, like, eccentric people, like, I get thrown off by that very easily. But for whatever reason, when it comes to him, I'm not. Like, I actually like him a lot. Once again, looking at him, do I think his intentions are at least in the right place? I honestly do. But once again, does that mean that he can actually govern effectively, that he's actually knowledgeable about the issues going on? I don't know. Is that something that he can learn? It's possible. So,
yeah, yeah, for sure. Because, like, when you look at the issues and just in general, it's never a black and white answer. There's always in the gray. It's much more complex and complicated than some may seem.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope he does have that perspective of that, hey, this is much more complicated. There's a much more dire situation. It's not as easy as to just, oh, hey, we'll just do this and it will be settled. No, you have to actually almost dive into some of the philosophical beliefs and debates within almost every single idea and every single problem, a mixture of people that have issues with either in their state, in their country, whatever it may be. So it's just from that standpoint, I hope he does have that mentality of like, hey, this is not an easy one and done thing. This is not like, oh, we can flip this switch, we can do that or whatever. Like, no, this is much more complicated. And we're all people. We all have emotions. We need to tolerate, if not understand these emotions, to actually dive in and fix situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, does he have that capability? It's possible. Once again, I don't know for sure. I don't want to completely shun the idea of him, even though when I did read the headline, when I did hear about it, I chuckled a little bit. I'm like, what? And like, I didn't know, I wasn't sure what to think of it, but hey, maybe he can be good. Maybe he'll be totally in over his head. There's really no way to tell until I guess he actually announces whether or not he will run.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Like, this is the one celebrity where I'm kind of like, you know what? I'd be down for this.
It's like, I'd give him a chance.
I'd give it a chance. Whereas you have someone like Kanye West, I'd be like, no.
It's like, oh man, can't trust that guy with the nuclear codes. Nope. Yeah. no. Yeah, so again, well, I guess we'll see what happens as far as that. What do you guys think of McConaughey 2022? Leave your thoughts in the comment section there below. Now, before we get into Micahel B Jordon's triple threat on Creed 3, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and hit that bell to get all notifications, whether on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, the Podcast Index, or YouTube. And once again, no social media pages in that description there below. They're there for a reason. Give them a follow. You won't regret it. Now, before we get into the Razzie nominations, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Micahel B Jordon has sealed the deal to make his directorial debut with Creed 3. He will be polling, as I said before, a triple threat as director, producer, and leading man for the film. The film is slated for release on November 23rd, 2022. Darius, I think you're excited about this one from the look on your face.
I'm sold. I'm there day one. I still haven't seen Creed 2, to be honest.
Oh, really? Honestly, Creed... Yeah, it's funny you mention that because I did see Creed 2. Honestly, it was a solid movie, too. Based on how that movie ended, I'm surprised they're making a Creed 3, because honestly, I thought Creed 2 wrapped up a lot of things really nicely, so I'm wondering, is Creed 3 going to end up being justified? So
okay, because I still haven't seen it. I mainly haven't seen it because Ryan Coogler wasn't a part of it. That was the biggest reason as to why I didn't see it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he just did such a great job with Creed 1. that really another movie that also made another staple in his career. Micahel B Jordon, great actor. He's being more of a producing role in upcoming movies. And what I find interesting about this is, and what I'm really excited about is after Creed 3. I'm happy he's giving this is his I'm happy this is a movie that he's making his debut in. And this is the franchise. Because you can see how committed he is in this role from a physical fitness standpoint, how it also shaped some of his personal life as well. And so for him to tackle Creed 3 in a director chair, I'm excited for that. And if not, I'm more excited for what's to come afterwards with him possibly directing another movie that I've been overly excited about, which I can't wait. If the trajectory that I'm seeing happens, I will be even more excited for the next movie he may direct.
Well, funny, just real quick, since you gave a shout out to Ryan Coogler, congrats to him for his, I believe, first Oscar nomination. But going back to Micahel B Jordon, it's interesting. He's obviously a very talented actor. Does that automatically mean that he can direct? And does that automatically mean that he can direct while acting and producing? Because, again, that's a lot of hats to wear. I mean, a lot of people have done it. I mean, look at Clint Eastwood. But, it's interesting. Can he take all that on?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely going to be the movie that tests that waters for him. And I think this is also going to be the movie where it's going to be like, he's actually going to solidify whether he prefers directing or producing. I think he's still going to act because he's a solid actor. Yeah. But as far as the other leadership roles like directing and producing, I think possibly after this he might have a better understanding of the director role. I mean, I think he already does because he worked with Ryan Coogler for quite a few times. He's worked with other directors before. I just like the dude overall, and I think he has a solid understanding of story from the interviews I've seen and character development, which is why it's like from just a debut, I'm excited for it and I will gladly see it. But I'm even more excited for what's to come afterwards, especially of how I'm predicting certain things, which makes me even more excited.
And honestly, with him behind the camera, I'm intrigued to say the least. Because obviously, like we've said before, he's a very talented actor, and I think that talent in front of the camera is something that he could possibly bring to behind the camera when it comes to working with other actors and stuff like actors and actresses, because he's been in their mental space before plenty of times. Now, again, on like the technical and artistic end of the filmmaking process, can he pull that off? It's possible because, again, he's been on enough film sets to know a thing or two about the process.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I'm still overly excited. I really hope this goes well for him and that people take him more seriously, even more seriously as a director.
Yeah, he's already taken seriously, but it can't hurt for him to get even more.
Yeah, because as a director, I really hope this is the one where it's like, oh, okay, you can direct a movie. Hey, you know what? You are producing Static Shock. Why don't you direct it? Then I'll be like, I'm there.
So I think he'd be in good company of actors turning to directors and really pulling off like every single hat that goes with the creative process. Like I mentioned, Clint Eastwood before. Bradley Cooper with The Star Is Born. He did an amazing job on that movie, directing, producing, co-writing, and starring. I think Micahel B Jordon has potential to join those ranks as well, considering the amount of talent that he's shown in other categories.
Yep, for sure. So to just wrap this up, I'm excited. You are interested and intrigued by it. He's a solid overall dude. Just in interviews from how he portrays himself and everything, this is definitely the type of person that I would be like, you know what? Yeah, give him a shot. Yeah, he's a good actor. He's a good, solid all-around dude. I'm down for this. So
yeah. Now, does Micahel B Jordon have what it takes to be successful behind the camera? Leave your thoughts in that comment section there below. Now, to cap off the show, nominations were announced for the 41st Golden Raspberry Awards, aka the Razzies, that, quote, honor the worst in film for a particular year. Darius, you got a nice look at the list as well as I did. So, what did you think of this list overall?
Very funny. Very, let's just say this is going to be an interesting year for the Razzies.
Yeah.
To say the least, because it's funny because one of the movies that I predicted was going to be in Worst Picture is actually on there.
Which one?
And that's Fantasy Island because that was just a terrible movie.
I never saw it. I heard nothing good about it.
It was. Let's just say, good thing you didn't see it. Unfortunately. And as far as worst actor, and this is the thing where I'm a bit off-putting because I think overall it's an interesting list, but the choices they've made in certain categories is like really like he's just like this actor does this type of thing in general. That doesn't mean he's the worst actor,
Mhm.
you know. And one of them is Adam Sandler in
Yeah.
Hubie Halloween. I understand why, but like, come on, like it's off.
I understand it to an extent. Because don't get me wrong, I love Adam Sandler, love him.
Yeah.
But that voice in that movie, my goodness, that for
I
me,
love that voice.
that was enough. That was enough. But if there's one movie that I feel like got crapped on a bit too much, was honestly Wonder Woman 1984. I know this movie got like a lot of negative reception. I don't even say negative overall. It's pretty mixed overall. It's pretty mixed bag for a lot of people. It was nominated in worst remake, ripoff, or sequel. Honestly, probably the worst call on this entire list was a worst supporting actress nomination for Kristen Wiig. I thought she was terrific. I'm like, I read that. I'm like, are they serious? Did they watch the same movie that we did?
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, it's like as much as I didn't like Wonder Woman 84, it does have its merits, and one of the biggest merits is Kristen Wiig, which is like, why would she be on this list?
Honestly,
like,
she was great. She was great. She did a great job portraying, I guess, the evolution of her character, and she was great to watch. There's another movie on there, and I think it's one of the leaders of the pack, and it's Doolittle, of course, the Dr. Doolittle movie starring Robert Downey Jr. Now, when it came to Doolittle, I only saw this movie from start to finish very recently. We went to like a drive-in theater it was my first time going into a drive-in theater. We went to it by the beach. Yeah, and it was at the drive-in in Long Beach that they set up. It was a nice family experience. It was, nice memory overall. That being said, I understand why this movie is on this list. It was pretty bad. It had its entertaining points and whatnot. It was pretty bad. It was.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing, I'm shocked. Like, wait, like out of all the movies, especially I've seen and everything, Mulan's not on here.
Honestly, yeah, that's a good point. Once again, I didn't see Mulan, but again, Mulan was another movie that really got shit on this past year. How's this not on here at all?
Yeah, it's getting an Oscar, nominated for an Oscar,
nominations,
but not for a Razzie. Like, come on.
It's like, what are you guys doing? Now, let me just ask you: which one did you think was worse, Wonder Woman 1984 or Mulan?
Mulan,
easily, by far.
Yeah, like I said. Wonder Woman has its merits that I can look back on and enjoy. I even rewatched it recently after I had a conversation with someone I knew, and I actually appreciated it a bit more.
Okay. All right.
Just a bit more. Still have quite a few issues with the film, but Mulan, I thought that was just that should be on here.
Yeah, like there's one big movie, from what I've heard for sure. There's another movie that got a couple nominations. It was like a Netflix movie called The Wrong Missy. Honestly, I remember watching it. I think it debuted on Netflix way back in May. And I remember having a good time watching it. Got nominations for Worst Actress and Worst Actor for Lauren Lapkus and David Spade, respectively. And I think I was a little too rough on them. Like I said, I had a good time watching it. It really wasn't terrible at all. It was a good time. Did you watch it by any chance, Wrong Missy?
No, I haven't.
Okay, all right. Honestly, and another thing that I saw too, Hillbilly Elegy, for whatever reason, I've heard it's very weird. It got like very bad reviews by critics, but by audiences, it was really popular, and that got a few nominations on here as well. One thing in particular that's really interesting was Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy got a nomination for both Worst Supporting Actress at the Razzies, but also Best Supporting Actress at the Golden Globes and the Oscars. So I think the disconnect here is really interesting.
Very interesting. Like, there's definitely a certain disconnection within, I think, these reviewers and these critics, because you would hear one thing from one source and all of a sudden you hear another from the other source. And at that point, I always say this: forget all of them. Watch it yourself. Make your own decision and opinion.
Absolutely.
You know, and this is the thing where it's like, okay, if you're gonna say worst actor or worst screenplay or whatever, right? So, like, for example, worst screenplay, we have Doolittle, right? RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., good actor overall, right? Seems like a solid dude, that sort of thing. Then when you go to worst screenplay, and then you go to like worst actor, and you put him in there for Doolittle, is it really him, or is it the script? Or is it the script? Like I said, it's the balance of the two, where it's like it's so that disconnection is so oddly misplaced that I'm just like, okay, what is it like? What is it really like? You can't just say, oh, he's just the worst actor in Doolittle when, okay, but you put that movie in worst screenplay. So obviously the writing has to be worse than the actor, because the actor, all they can do is what was given to them and the direction that the director tells them, and etc. It's all in a puzzle, which is why I think the Razzies overall, when I looked at this list, I laughed out loud, to be honest. I was just like
some made sense. Like, some made sense, others didn't, honestly. But, like, honestly, Doolittle getting as many nominations as it did, honestly, yeah, I get it. Even going back to your
I get it
argument
too,
before,
but, like, just that disconnection between so many different elements is just like, really, is it, though? Is it not, though? So,
I mean, I still think, honestly, if you have a bad screenplay, I mean, here's what I've noticed. A lot of times a bad screenplay or a good screenplay will make okay actors or okay acting sound better, whereas a bad screenplay will make good actors or good actresses sound worse. But that being said, the actor or actress is still responsible for their own performance too. Like, there's there's only so much they can do, right? Of course, there's only so much they can do if they're given a bad script. But at the same time, they got to actually do what they can do, and if they don't do that, then that's on them too. You have to make the most of what you're given as well.
I haven't seen Doolittle, so I can't really say if it's bad, good, or whatever. But I'm just trying to take the fundamentals of all of this, the basis of what's good and what's not, and just trying to make an understanding of it. Because I've noticed just the Oscars and all of this, I'm a mixed bag overall with all these nominations. At the end of the day, I'm just like, I'll see it. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. The award stuff is just, I hope Ricky Gervais is there.
Oh, man, that would be amazing. I don't know if he's ever going to host anything again after Golden Globes last year. But if he doesn't, honestly, then he went off in style. That man's, what a hero. Jesus. What a legend. Oh, yeah. That'd be amazing. If he could ever host the Oscars one day, that'd be fucking amazing. That'd be amazing. Oh, boy. Yeah, all right, so the winners for the Golden Raspberry Awards will be announced on April 24th, 2021. And what did you guys think of the Razzie Award nominations? Are they something to be taken seriously or laughed at? Are the Oscars in the same boat? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And just like that, that's the show. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts, the Podcast Index, or YouTube. Tune in next week for our first impressions on the new Marvel show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, airing on Disney Plus this Friday, March 19th. Let us know if you or anyone you know is interested in being a guest on the show, or if you have any suggestions for what Darius and I should talk about. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Adios.